Now we'll go to question number 6, which is the last of the long answer questions. Emma, this will be over to you, and the order will be Jean, Nancy, Nisa, Anita, and Teresa. Thank you, Emma.
What is your position on the addition of high-density or affordable housing in Los Altos, especially considering the increase of student and teachers in the MVLA district?
Sorry, repeat your second sentence.
What is your position on the addition of high-density and affordable housing in Los Altos, especially considering the increase of students and teachers in the MVLA district?
Okay. I'm very much in favor of affordable housing, and we've done some things with this council by increasing the inclusionary ratio from 10 to 15%, and also liberalized the use of ADUs, which I think some of my opponents on this dais oppose. So those are two things, but I would like to go further and build in cooperation with some not-for-profit developer of affordable housing, and there are such companies, work in partnership with them to build a totally affordable building, a rental for teachers. I think a lot of our teachers, even 35 years old, are not able to afford a home in Los Altos and have to commute 90 minutes or sometimes live with their parents, and it's totally unacceptable.
Nancy?
Thank you. Yes, I'm a big supporter of affordable housing. We are truly in a crisis right now, and that is not going to go away anytime soon. We need affordable housing not only for our teachers, but also for our city staff, our emergency responders. Specifically as it relates to teachers, I would like to see the city work with the school districts on that. There are some potential opportunities. One of which comes to mind is actually doesn't involve Los Altos directly, but Mountain View in the 10th site that LASD is looking at. It's a really wonderful place to put a small number, possibly 30 to 50 units of teacher housing, which is next to a train station, restaurants, et cetera. But if we could work with MVLA, Wisman, and LASD and contribute as well as Mountain View, we've got to find some solutions, and I'm open to anything creative, so thank you.
I'm also a strong supporter of affordable housing, and I think affordable housing, there are a variety of options, including higher density housing, as you asked, and that currently takes place on El Camino, which I support. Because when I think of affordable housing, similar to what Nancy said, I think of our teachers, or seniors, or emergency responders, or medical professionals. And I don't just, talk the talk, I walk the talk, as the saying goes. One of my priorities on the El Camino Hospital board was to push our CEO to have either temporary or permanent affordable housing for our staff. This is near and dear to my heart because I do think, and going back to one of the earlier questions about what I want to accomplish, when I think of our community, it includes these members of our community. And when you think about affordable housing, I think the range I heard was between $85,000 to $115,000. That's affordable housing for a family of 4 here in our community. And so we need to make sure that we have housing to accommodate that population. Thank you.
Anita?
Affordable housing is a very complicated and long-growing problem. It's not something that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years, and it's not something we're going to solve in the next 5 or 10 years. It's a regional problem, it's perhaps even trans-regional. That said, we have opportunities to do a better job of providing lower-cost housing in our town. The El Camino corridor, the Sherwood Triangle are both well-suited for higher density housing. I was a proponent as a member of the Planning Commission for doing a new specific plan in the Sherwood Triangle area together with the El Camino corridor that would look specifically at opportunities for higher density housing, but with due consideration for the adjoining use so that we didn't end up with 5-story buildings looking out over R1 single-family homes right behind them. I think we have an opportunity to do that, but I think we have to also realize that it's not something we are going to solve entirely for ourselves, and the council's decision to start working on a trans-region or region-wide basis, I think, was a good start.
1 minute isn't enough time on this question. I'm a very strong proponent of affordable housing, true affordable housing. At this point, we don't have any chance of having affordable housing done through the high-density tall buildings unless we bring in organizations, nonprofits to help do it. And even then, I'm not sure we'd be able to do it. I've been looking at other cities and what they're doing, and Santa Cruz has a good system that they're working on for bringing in affordable housing. I think looking at additional cities and understanding what they're doing is important. I think also it's important to understand, how do the people of Los Altos feel about affordable housing? True affordable housing is going to be running more towards HUD. So if we're going to be doing something like that, where do we want to have that kind of housing? And do we want to take that on? And if we don't, how do we help outside of our town to bring in affordable housing that can help people where they live, work, or where they work and go to school? The other part of the high density is it is not a way that we're going to solve this problem because it's just a windfall for the developers.